And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time on Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide. I also broadcast on Roar 1776 Radio and on Live 365 Radio every Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day, simply by clicking on that icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. You can call into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. Call directly into the station at 909-545-6516. Again, that number, 909-545-6516. Now, on today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Today, my expert contributor is John Matthews with his Conservative Syndicate Corner, and my special guest is Sean Lefebvre with his healthcare series, Geared for Wellness. But you know what? Right now, we do have an actual alert that came in. United States officials say the State Department can't find 15 Clinton emails released by the Benghazi panel. Now, that's something, right? If you start thinking about that. We also want you to know that right now at 4:02 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 95 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's down from 98 degrees, hopefully on its way down to 67 degrees here in the Southern California area. But right now, let's talk about the news. We're going to talk about the things that you need to know so you can talk to your friends, your neighbors, your working associates, and they'll know that you know what's going on in the world today. So let's get right into the news. Right up 2 hours ago, Obama health care law survives the second Supreme Court fight. The Supreme Court sent a clear message Thursday today, that President Barack Obama's health care overhaul is here to stay, rejecting major challenge that would have imperiled the landmark law and health insurance for millions of Americans. Whether you call it the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, or, in the words of a dissenting justice, SCOTUS care, Obama's signature domestic achievement is, as the president himself put it, reality. The 6-3 ruling, which upheld financial aid to millions of low- and middle-income Americans to help pay for insurance premiums regardless of where they live, was the second major victory in 3 years for Obama in politically charged Supreme Court tests of the law. And it came on the same day the court gave him an unexpected victory on another subject, preserving a key tool the administration uses to fight housing bias. Obama greeted news of the health care decision by declaring the law is no longer about politics, but the benefits millions of people are receiving. This is no longer about law, he said in the White House Rose Garden. This health care in America, that's what this is about. Declining to concede, House Speaker John Boehner of Ohio said, Republicans who have voted more than 50 times to undo the law will continue our efforts to repeal the law and replace it with patient-centered solutions that meet the needs of seniors, small business owners, and middle-class families. However, he declined to comment to a vote this year, or I should say commit to one. Several Republican presidential candidates said they would continue the fight, ensuring it will be an issue in the campaign. Other legal challenges are working their way through the courts, but they appear to pose lesser threats to the law, which passed Congress without a single Republican vote in 2010 and has now withstood two stern challenges to the Supreme Court. You know what? And it just goes on and on and on, right? Well, how about this? The contours of Obama's legacy form with help of unlikely allies. Long past the prime of his presidency, Barack Obama is defying the lame duck label and solidifying the contours of his legacy with the help of unlikely allies in Congress and the Supreme Court. Led by Chief Justice John Roberts, the High Court preserved Obama's signature health care law today, hours before a Republican-controlled Congress paved the way for an Asia-Pacific trade pact in the center of the president's international agenda. The Supreme Court also handed Obama a surprise win by upholding a key tool used to fighting housing discrimination. This was a good day for America, Obama said, speaking from the White House Rose Garden shortly after the court rulings. For a president deep into his second term, the legal and legislative victories were a vindication of policy priorities that have sapped his political capital and exposed rifts with his own Democratic Party. The back-to-back stresses also energized a weary White House with senior officials and longtime advisors making little effort to hide the glee. I don't think that a lot of people expected that a lame duck president could still very actively lead on every major issue being debated today, said Bill Burton, a former White House and campaign advisor of Obama. You know what? Isn't it interesting if you think about it? What's going on? He got this landmark passage of this emergency power. He didn't get it from his own party. He got it from the Republican Party. What is going on in Washington, D.C.? That the Republicans support the Democratic president and the Democrats do not support the Democratic president? Doesn't it make you wonder about what the heck is going on out there? Does me. Now, the latest Como prison break probe could lead to reform. The latest on the hunt for two inmates who escaped from a maximum security prison. And let's talk about this in the terms of local time, the stuff that happened back east. At 5:25 Eastern Time, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says a state investigation into how two killers escaped from a maximum security prison will look into whether reforms are needed. Cuomo, speaking to reporters at the state capitol in Albany in Thursday, said the Inspector General's investigation into the prison break will determine whether there are lessons to learn. Authorities say inmates Richard Matt and David Sweat cut through the steel wall at the back of their cells at Clinton Correctional Facility. They crawled down a catwalk, broke through a brick wall, cut their way into and out of a steam pipe, and then emerged from a manhole outside the prison on June the 6th. Como wants to know how they got the tools and the time to undertake the massive engineering task. Boy, I guess. Now, we could go on and we could talk more and more about that. But you know what? The news is inundated with this information, so if you need more, just turn on your TV. You'll get it there. I don't want to give you all the same stuff that you can get on your television. But this is something that came in 51 minutes ago. Hundreds attend the first funerals for church shooting victims. You know what? A choir and band launched into one of Ethel Lance's favorite gospel tunes and roused hundreds of mourners from their seats today in a crescendo of music at the first funeral of victims of the massacre at a historic black church. People stood to clap, nod, and sway, some closing their eyes under the exertion of the cathartic singing. Ushers walked through the aisles with boxes of tissues for people to dab their tears. An organ, drums, and bass guitar provided the rhythm. The service was fitting for the 70-year-old Charleston native with an infectious smile who served with vigor as an officer of the Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. The congregation's interim pastor said, when it was time for the ushers to usher, she had the ushers strut. Then Reverend Norvell Goff said, when Sister Lance praised the Lord, you had to strap on your spiritual seatbelt. Now, do not go away, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the New Jersey Governor Chris Christie entering the 2016 race. We'll be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding time to shine the spotlight on your expertise. The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. I'm sorry for that little delay. We were having some technical issues going on here. Apparently, they decided to do the landscaping work out here while we were broadcasting our show, interfering with everything. So I had to go put a stop to that. So hopefully you don't mind the little extra time that we had you on a commercial break. We're going to get right back into the news, however. That's what we were trying to do from the very beginning. Let's get to it. We were talking about New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is entering the 2016 race. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is entering the 2016 Republican presidential nomination contest and will announce that Tuesday at his old high school, several people familiar with his plans told the Associated Press. The Republican leader of the Democratic stronghold has been laying the groundwork for a White House run for months. In 2012, he decided against seeking the GOP nomination to challenge President Barack Obama and focused on his duties in the state in planning a re-election campaign. This time, Christie, battered and bruised following a political scandal at home, will not be a potential frontrunner when he joins a field of more than a dozen major GOP candidates. Instead, he's trying to emerge from a pack of senators, governors, business people, and others who more people expected to join in coming weeks. The people familiar with the Christie's plan spoke to the Associated Press today on the condition of anonymity. You know why. You've heard this before. Because they were not authorized to preempt Christie's announcement. His plans were first reported by WNYC radio in New York City. I guess, he actually ranks pretty high if you think about what's going on. But it's just amazing, all the guys that are going in. The guy that they don't give much thought to, the guy they keep playing around with, is Donald Trump. The guy that they said really wasn't real about this is ranking number 2 among the 20-some-odd people in the Republican Party that are going to be running in the primaries. Trump ranks number 2. And then they've got other guys that are never going to get out of the ranking. Bobby Jindal just got in. He's ranking 0. I don't think he's got a chance at all. And I think what goes on here is that Trump and Bush could hurt each other going into this primary, because each one of them is going to take a tremendous amount of votes away from the other guys that are there. Or they're going to be fighting each other so much that the real front runner isn't going to have a chance to face Hillary in the general, which is this is really actually helps her. We'll see if Bush actually survives this thing. Trump is out for blood. He's not going to give in. That's for sure. Well, you know what? This came in 1 hour ago. Arrested prison guard denies knowing of inmate's escape plot. A prison guard charged in connection with the escape of 2 killers admitted providing them with tools, paint, frozen hamburger, and access to a catwalk electrical box, but claims he never knew they planned to bust out, authorities said. As the search for the convicts entered its 20th day today, Gene Palmer was released on $25,000 bail after his arrest on charges of promoting prison contraband, tampering with evidence, and official misconduct. Palmer, 57 years old, became the second Clinton Correctional Facility employee to be charged since Richard Matt and David Sweat used power tools to cut their way out of the maximum security prison in far northern New York on June the 6th. Prison tailor shop instructor Joyce Mitchell, 51 years old, stands charged with helping them break out. But in contrast to the allegations against Mitchell, Palmer said he was an uninviting or unwitting helper. I did not realize at the time that the assistance provided to Matt and Sweat made their escape easier, he told authorities in a signed statement. District Attorney Andrew Wiley said that based on Palmer's statements and a polygraph test, investigators have no reason to believe that he was knowingly involved in the escape. Well, thank God for that, right? Some people are just stupid. Gosh. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I said that. Probably shouldn't have said it. Anybody can be conned, right? That's exactly what happened. Well, here's one for you. State Department. 15 emails are missing from the Clinton cache. The State Department cannot find in its records all or part of 15 work-related emails from Hillary Rodham Clinton's private server that were released this week by a House panel investigating the 2012 attack in Benghazi, Libya, officials said today. The emails all predate the September 11th assault on the U.S. diplomatic facility and include scant words written by Clinton herself. The officials said they consist of more in a series of would-be intelligence reports passed to her by longtime political confidant Sidney Blumenthal, the official said. Nevertheless, the fact that the State Department says it can't find them among emails she provided surely will raise new questions about Clinton's use of a personal email account and server while Secretary of State, and whether she has provided the agency all of her work-related correspondence as she claims. Don't go away, though, because when we come back, we're going to deal with the IRS loses. First case up is too late to collect tax from a bankrupt person. We'll tell you all about that after these brief messages. Do not go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The interview starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with the interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS Loses. I got to tell you, I just love this part of the show, and you know, it just sends chills up and down my spine. I don't know about you, but it sends chills up and down my spine, and that's kind of, I suppose, where those chills belong, huh? But let's get right to it. The first case up is, it's too late to collect tax from a bankrupt. Here's the thing. Glenn Redkay declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and the court approved a reorganization plan under which he would sell investment assets to pay his debts. Before the sale, he died. The assets were then sold, but the IRS asked the court to reopen the bankruptcy case, saying the bankruptcy estate owed capital gains tax on the sale. He went to court. This is what the judge said. After a Chapter 11 organization plan is approved, the bankruptcy estate terminates and its assets vest back in the former debtor. Here, that meant that they vested in Redk's personal estate. So, the IRS's bankruptcy claim is dismissed and it must collect capital gains tax owed, if any, after loss of offsets from the personal estate. Makes sense to me, doesn't it to you? Sure it does. The IRS just consistently tries to get away with stuff that you know that they can't and they'd never let you get away with. Here's a case the IRS conceded. Now, you've heard me say many times, they only concede when they're pretty doggone sure that they can't win in court. Here's the case. The VA work therapy payments are tax-free. Wait till you hear this. The IRS says that it will no longer tax payments made under the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, compensated work therapy program to participants in that program. The program provides paid work that also has therapeutic benefits to veterans. The IRS treated the payments as taxable wages until the tax court recently ruled them to be tax-free health benefits. The IRS now says that it will not appeal and that program participants who paid tax on the payments that they received from it during the last 3 years are entitled to tax refunds if they file for them. By the way, not just tax refunds, but interest as well. Absolutely. Just know that that's the case. How about one more here for you? IRS loses. Neglect is not excusable. The IRS was considering whether Timothy Severs was personally liable for $200,000 of employment taxes owed by a business when he declared bankruptcy. Via automated procedures that apply in all bankruptcy cases, the IRS checked Severs' tax debts. It found that there were minimal on his personal tax return, so it didn't file a claim in the bankruptcy case. Now later, an IRS auditor held that Severs did owe the $200,000 of taxes, but did not tell the IRS's bankruptcy case division. The IRS finally made a late claim for them, arguing that its excusable neglect permitted it. This is what the court said. The IRS is a sophisticated creditor, and its neglect is not excusable. And as a result, the claim is dismissed. You just got to love this stuff. You got to love it as much as I love it, that's for sure. Oh, yeah. You know, we call this section Inside the IRS. Wouldn't you just love to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing things so that you can kind of keep track of it, right? And that way you just know how to fight them around the other side. I was trying to think of a movie. There was one recently that was out there, and that where this guy had this insight into the minds of women. It's sort of the same thing, only into the insights into the mind of the IRS. Let's talk about it. Leasing versus buying equipment for your business. You know, even though a transaction is structured as a lease, the IRS may take the position that you really purchased the asset, and there's a consequence to that. Instead of deducting the entire monthly lease payments, you'll be required to depreciate the cost of the asset using IRS guidelines. The IRS will generally challenge a leasing transaction if you're able to purchase the equipment for a nominal fee at the end of the lease. So here's a strategy for you. Always, always, always ask your accountant to help structure the lease to make sure that it'll survive the IRS challenge. That's exactly where you want to be. I mean, exactly. Try this one on. When a tax return is fraudulently prepared, the accountant who prepared the tax return may be susceptible to pressure from the IRS agent who discovers that he or she helped the taxpayer coordinate a transaction that resulted in tax evasion. Here's an example for you. The accountant advised the taxpayer that business deposits made into a checking account should be classified as loan payments to avoid reflecting them as income on the tax return. When faced with going to jail, the accountant will likely tell the IRS agent everything he wants to hear. The self-defense here? When a tax return was fraudulently prepared, the accountant who prepared it should never represent the taxpayer before the IRS. The taxpayer should hire an experienced tax attorney who will be able to rely on attorney-client privilege to avoid providing incriminating information to the IRS. Well, we're getting ready to go on another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be with our own Sean Lefebvre in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Sean Lefebvre always has something new and exciting for us. And we're going to go to our commercial break right now. When we come back, we'll be right with Sean Lefebvre in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:33 p.m. Pacific time. It is currently 95 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 100 degrees on its way to 65, and I like that 65 a lot better than anything else. But you know what? Before we bring on Sean, I want to make a special announcement. We're very excited and proud here at Robert Cardoza Live to announce that our show is currently available live 5 days a week. That's Monday through Friday on the following radio networks: Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide. In addition to our show being heard live every Friday, they're on the Roar 1776 and Live 365 radio networks from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, and an archive show every Saturday morning from 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Pacific time. Boy, if you're up that early, I'll get you some sleeping pills. You can also catch our show every Friday and Saturday on iHeartRadio, and if you've got a TiVo box, you can catch us on TiVo as well. All of our shows are accessible on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube. You can also download our shows free of charge from the iTunes Store. We encourage you to follow us on all of these social media sources. Currently, we are actively broadcasting in the following countries: the United States, Montenegro, Philippines, Canada, Greece, Germany, the United Kingdom, Australia, Italy, France, Thailand, and Brazil, with more countries coming soon. We are currently developing 2 Robert Cardoza Live apps that will allow you to download our show free of charge on iPhones and Android. This app will allow you to listen to any of our shows, either live or recorded, 24/7 worldwide, right from your computer, your phone, your tablet, and your iPad. The easiest way to listen to our show is to go to our website at robertcardozalive.com. Well, he's waiting in the wings, and we don't want to keep him waiting any longer. Poor guy's been waiting long enough. Let's get him in here. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from his personal meditation lounge in Orange County, California, a professional dedicated to conquering many chronic conditions from autism to weight loss and everything in between. The nationally recognized wellness coach, consultant, and lecturer, Sean Lefebvre, in his Geared for Wellness Corner. Hey, Sean, welcome aboard. This is day 2 of this week for you, so, we're really excited to have you here. Now we're not having as many technical glitches as we had, but, the whole world appears to be emailing me, texting me, and calling me during the radio show, and I guess I haven't told enough people what time I broadcast. And then, interesting enough, Sean, I had to go to a second set of commercials today because the landscaping people came out here today. I had told them they had to be done by 3:30. They didn't show up until 4 o'clock. I had to stop them cold. And then, we talk about technical problems. Well, when I did that, I went to a commercial break. I forgot to turn off my microphone, so I went out and started yelling at them, and I'm pretty sure that went out over the air. So, hi, Sean. How are you?
Good, Robert. How are you?
I'm good.
I kind of think I know the answer to that, but I'm not quite sure.
You know what? I don't know. I must be mellowing out or something because I'm really quite relaxed.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It means you're handling it well. So
yeah.
You don't need any of those drugs that we talked about 2 days ago. So that's a good thing.
Well, that's the difference. The difference is I don't need them and I don't want them. Other people, they don't need them but they want them. That's the problem.
That's exactly it. It's most people need. Actually, nobody really needs them, and that's the problem. Is we consider it a need, and it's not a need, and it's really a want. It's so funny. I read an article, and what I was actually going to talk about today was actually I just wanted to kind of continue what we talked about last week, but really talk about the flip side of that, and that is. Because you kind of alluded at the end, hopefully you got some solutions to this. And I didn't think we really had time last week to get into the solutions of getting people off of, all of these drugs, these antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds and painkillers and so on. But that's kind of where I want to go today and talk a little bit about that. But yeah, it's funny. There's a massive difference between want and need, and in a lot of industries, they try to blur those lines, and especially in the medical community. I had a chiropractor friend of mine one time used to say, if your spine was on your face, people would pay you cash all day long to fix it. Because they know they need to have a healthy spine, they need to have a healthy heart, and they need to have healthy all kinds of stuff. But what people really want is to be happy, and they want to be beautiful. And so they'll pay cash for things like braces, and they'll pay cash for things like plastic surgery, but, their insurance isn't going to pay for heart surgery. They're probably not going to get it. And so, yeah, there's a exactly. There are a lot of things out there that we want, but we've been told that a lot of times they're in need. And that's where I think really we need to get past is the understanding that, drugs are never a need. Now, I won't say, I probably should back up. I should probably back up before I make that statement. I won't say they're never a need. There's always, or there's sometimes an acceptable need, like emergency medicine. If I get hit by a truck, I need morphine at that point.
You don't want to be in pain, or if you're succumbing to cancer. What's the word they use for that? When you have symptoms, if you're succumbing to cancer symptoms and you're in pain, in this day and age, I think there's no reason that any human being should be made to suffer. But I think you're talking about people that they wake up with a hangnail and take 3 aspirin, or maybe they take an Advil, or maybe they take morphine, maybe they take Norcal.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's all the drugs. We know that prescription painkiller drug addiction is massive. It's huge in our society right now. But even things that are properly prescribed, the doctor will tell you, you go to the doctor and you have high blood pressure, and he says, well, you need this medication, and you're going to need to stay on it probably for the rest of your life. Or if you have diabetes, you're going to need to be on this medication for the rest of your life. Or it's the cholesterol. You got high cholesterol. We can't keep it in check. We can't keep it under 200. And that's even funny. It should be 240, but they like to use the number 200. I think it helps sell more drugs. But you're going to need cholesterol meds, and they really sell it as a need. But the fact is, the vast majority of these conditions that are treated by a lifestyle of medications that we put people on can be fixed through a healthy lifestyle, and through some detoxification process, and through some better eating, and through exercise, moderate exercise. A lot of people think exercise like, oh my God, I go to the gym and work out. It's not even that. It's just be active. Go out. Have a garden. Go. If you're going to take that hour and you're going to do something physical with it, go dig ditches or something. At least be productive. I grew up, Robert, swinging an axe and a sledgehammer and a pick and using a shovel, and I'm still really good with all those things because I grew up with them. We didn't need to have a gym when we were kids.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about when you say a healthy lifestyle, you're talking about a good diet in an active lifestyle, one where you're not sedentary, right? So, right. Actually, I'll have you comment more on that when we come back from this break. We got about 10 seconds before we go.
I didn't hear the music.
We're talking to our own Sean LaFave in the Geared for Wellness Corner. I got to tell you, I just love talking to this man, and we get the opportunity to do that every Tuesday and Thursday at this time. So you don't want to miss anything he's got to say. But we'll be right back with Sean after these brief messages, so do not go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own healthcare guru, Mr. Sean LaFave with his Geared for Wellness Corner. Sean, you've got the microphone.
All right. So we're gonna get on this thing about living this lifestyle, and you know, I read an article recently that was that really kind of I think it's really common sense, and most people would agree with, but it was kind of neat to see. It was actually an article that was written. It was spelling out a study they had done, and it was talking about what causes addiction in people, and of course most people think, well, yeah, you take a drug and it's addictive. You do these painkillers or cocaine, which a lot of these painkillers are derivatives of morphine or cocaine or something like that, and in fact, what a lot of people don't know is a lot of these drugs that we're giving our children, like Prozac or that's not Prozac we don't want to think of, but the ones we give our children for ADD, they're actually, a lot of them are derivatives of cocaine. And it's funny, a person with ADHD, supposedly you give them a cocaine derivative that calms them down instead of stimulates them. But so we always think, well, this drug is addictive, and that drug is addictive, and alcohol is addictive, and on and on and on. And all these things are addictive. But really, what they broke it down to was, they took these rats and they put them in two different categories, and some of the rats got to live in their little cages with pretty colorful balls to play with and toys, and they were given attention, and they had playmates and all these things. They really lived kind of this happy, fulfilled life, and life was as rat life goes, it was a good life. And then the other set of rats were isolated, and they were given the bare necessities, and really no companionship. So they were very isolated and lonely. They became very unhappy rats, and they gave all of the rats, though, the option to drink water that had drugs built into it. And what they found was the rats that were happy really had very little interest in the. They almost shunned it, like they were like, it was almost disgusting to them. They didn't want the drugs. They wanted good, clean water. They wanted something that was healthier for them. The rats that were lonely and isolated and depressed, if you will, those are the ones that became chronic and heavy users of the drug water. And so really, the point that they boiled it down to was, it's not the chemical reaction of the drug itself that causes the addiction. It's what drives you to keep searching for that feel-good feeling that those drugs give you.
Well, I heard one time, Sean, that people that get addicted to drugs, what winds up happening is they take the drug and they think that it makes them feel terrific or feel good, and then they get hooked on the drugs, and then eventually they have to continue to take the drugs to feel the way they felt before they began taking the drugs in the first place.
Right, exactly, and it's a cycle, and they are. Something in their life is just not right. They're unhappy. They're miserable. I mean, I was in the hospital several years ago. It's the only time I've ever been hospitalized. I was in the hospital for 2 days, and I had this just excruciating back pain. This is by far the worst pain I've ever felt. It was bad enough that I actually went to the hospital, and I never go to the doctor for anything. But they gave me a Dilaudid trip, and Dilaudid is basically a new generation of morphine. And I'll tell you, Robert, that stuff, I understand why people get addicted to it.
Yeah, me too.
It makes you feel so good. If you're not happy and you take that, if your life was miserable and someone said you could have as much of this stuff as you want, you would never stop taking it, because you could feel it. When they put that stuff in my IV, I could feel like it was literally like someone took a bucket of carefree joy and happiness and just poured it over me, and I could literally feel all my cares wash away. I could feel all my pain wash away. I could literally feel the individual muscles just loosen up and all the pain go away. And I understand where that addiction comes from, because that kind of feeling. Now, I've had feelings like that in life, from things that I've succeeded at, relationships that I've had, watching, maybe my son do something, or maybe building my business, or whatever the case might be. And so people who live a life where they get those feel-good feelings, they don't need those drugs.
Yeah.
And I think that, that's part of living that healthy lifestyle is really, one of the things that they talk about this, and it's something that I've talked about for years, is really that connectedness. And that's something that I alluded to at the end of the segment, or at the end of the show Tuesday, is really people who lose that connectedness with those around them are the ones that are going to be more prone toward, taking these drugs, being on the antidepressants, and really end up lashing out, whether towards others or taking their own life, because they're so disconnected that they don't even they can't feel the consequences, let alone even care about them.
Well, I can tell you one of the solutions is if they could just be around you for a little while, somebody who's so high on life, they would just feel better just from your attitude and the way you talk to people. Don't you really think that a lot of your health deals with a positive mental attitude? If you get up in the morning and you know you're going to have a good day, don't you have a good day?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know my days. The days that go the best for me are the ones where I get up, and usually actually it's fairly early. The ones where I sleep in are usually not my better days, although I love sleeping in. But when I get up and I take just a little bit of time before I start my routine of, even making breakfast, even before that, just some time to just relax and kind of dig into a book, especially something positive.
Mm-hmm.
I try to stay away, first thing in the morning, I try to stay away from, a book that's talking about, anything that's medical, because they won't necessarily have positive stories. But if I can read something that's uplifting, or watch a video. When I was in my clinic in Wichita, Kansas, I used to always, when I would get to work, first thing I would do was log into my computer and I would watch some sort of inspirational video. So I'd go to YouTube and I'd watch something about, whatever it was. You ever heard of a father-son duo called Team Hoyt?
I don't believe so.
Anyway, the son was he was wheelchair bound and was born that way. But the dad used to run marathons and do triathlons and stuff, and he would push his son the whole way, or in the swimming parts he would pull him on a raft, and it was just to watch this story of. It was Rick and Dick Hoyt were their names, and to see their story, I would watch this video, and every time I would watch it, they're like, my eyes would tear up. But I would watch this, and I go, you know what? That right there is what it takes to make a great life, is to just keep pushing no matter what, and doing something to make somebody else's life better. And really, to start your day off like that, you're right. That makes all the difference in the world. It will make or break your day when you start it off with something positive versus something negative. So that's a huge part of living a positive, healthy lifestyle. But I think we're getting ready to go to a break here pretty soon.
Yep, we got about 20 seconds.
All right. When we come back, we'll kind of maybe touch on this just a little bit more about the mindset. But really, I also want to talk about how that's connected to the physical part. Things like inflammation and those, and how they really tend to bring us down in a way that we wouldn't really even recognize it unless it was pointed out to us. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
All right, we've been talking to our own Sean LaFave with his Geared for Wellness Corner. We'll be right. Don't go away, for Pete's sake, because he'll be right back with more words of wisdom for you. You know what? Just listening to him makes me feel better. Does it you? We'll talk about that when we come back. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this. The Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. You know what? We got this man. His name is Sean Lefebvre. Now, Sean, he's on here on our station every Tuesday and every Thursday. And basically, he's actually a healthcare expert, but he's a healthcare expert that doesn't want to push pills, doesn't want to push drugs or any of those kinds of things at you. He wants to push a good lifestyle that's going to keep you healthy, wealthy, and wise. Sean, you've got the microphone.
Yeah, right. Well, like I said, we'll talk a little bit more about the physical side of dealing with these issues that really lead people to living this lifestyle of medication. Last Tuesday we were talking about just kind of the chronic state of medication that our country lives in, and it's interesting. I was reading an article, actually a friend of posted on my Facebook page about the link between depression and chronic inflammation, and it was such a powerful article when I read it, because as I read it, I went, yeah, that's what I do. That's in my clinic in Wichita. That's exactly what we did every single day. Was we treated people for inflammation, and even they just wanted to lose weight, or they wanted to overcome thyroid problems, or they wanted to overcome this whatever their chronic condition was that these people have had for years, decades, and one of the things that we would treat for was chronic toxicity, whether it was heavy metals or, say, a biotoxin from being in a prolonged mold exposure. A biotoxin is any type of toxin that that comes from a living organism. And since mold is a living organism, it produces a biotoxin, and that biotoxin is what, when most people get in a mold situation and they get sick, it's the biotoxin from the mold that makes them sick, not the actual mold spore itself. And what happens is you end up in this chronic state of inflammation, and you've got in your body these protein structures called cytokines. And I used to preach cytokines up and down and left and right and all over the place. Every time I could grab someone's ear, I'm talking about cytokines and the importance of repressing your cytokine reaction, because when you get in a chronic state of inflammation, you have an overactive cytokine response, and so you want to kind of squash that down. And what cytokines do is they're kind of a communication cell or communication network between your cells and your body, and what they're primarily responsible for is helping build new cells, break down existing cells, or repair cells. And so they're kind of the construction worker, communication construction worker in your cells. But what happens is when everything's functioning right, they get rid of the cells that you don't need, and they build the new ones that you do need. And if something's broken, they go in and fix it. But when you get a chronic state of inflammation, these cytokines become more and more and more active, and it actually increases the inflammation in your body. And what they're saying now is what that's doing in your bloodstream. This gets into your bloodstream now. They're saying that this is a massive cause of depression in people, is the chronic state. And we're talking cellular inflammation, not like I sprained my ankle and it's all swollen. We're not talking something like that. We're talking a low-level chronic inflammation at the cell level. And because they've known and they've given people, medications for things that reduce inflammation, especially, like a really hard-hitting anti-inflammatory that it actually will decrease the person's depression in the short run. Now, once the anti-inflammatory wears off, the depression comes back, and so now they've come to discover this. And so, really addressing inflammation is another key to addressing depression. Most people think, if you're depressed, you've got to, go through your whatever program, go see Tony Robbins, go see your psychiatrist, go see your life coach or whatever. But they're saying now, and I firmly believe this. When I read this article, this study, I went, my gosh, that's exactly what we've been doing with people for years. I didn't even put the connection together. And the things that cause inflammation, it's so simple. Is stuff like we were talking about before. A healthy diet. And a lot of people get confused when they think a healthy diet, but really it boils down to you want the good fats. We have found time and time again that cholesterol and saturated fats are so good for cell reproduction, and they've been villainized for years. But butter's coming back and all these things. You think of what a baby eats its first 6 months of its life is pure saturated fat and cholesterol it's supposed to get from mom. And so we find that these fats are actually good. They're actually reducing inflammation. They're reducing your cholesterol is an anti-inflammatory. When someone has high levels of high levels of cholesterol, it's because there's an inflammation process going on. It's not because the cholesterol is not causing the problem. The cholesterol is there trying to fix the problem. And so we went with good fats. Get rid of the bad fats like the trans fats, the hydrogenated oils, those types of things. Eating unhealthy grains, lots of sugar. I remember a time, and this is something that really, it's funny how you can do something and it'll really hit you hard. One day, this was years ago, I, for God knows what reason, decided I wanted to have some McDonald's, and I hadn't eaten McDonald's for a long time. My diet was perfect, it was strict, it was very good. And I thought, gosh, I deserve to treat myself. And I went out and got the Big Mac, the large fries, the drink. I got everything, right? I woke up the next morning, Robert, and I felt like I had a hangover. I had not had any alcohol the night before, but I felt like I had a hangover. My whole body was just tired. My head hurt. But here's the thing that got me was my shoulders. If you look at a person who's depressed, what do? They kind of slump over, right? They roll their shoulders forward and their back's kind of hunched, and their posture is horrible. They're kind of hunched over. that's how I was standing that entire day after I ate that McDonald's. I had to physically use my muscles to pull my shoulders back because my body assumed this position. And if you think about it, that position of rolling your shoulders forward and kind of slumping down like that, that's exactly what a person does when they're being physically attacked and they have no way of defending themselves. So when you've got all this stuff in your body doesn't know how to fix, it assumes that position just naturally. And, so it basically that's what it boils down to is get these things out of your life so the body can fix itself and the depression will naturally go away. You don't have to go through a 12-step program. But I know we're coming to the end of our show, and I think we should pick this up again next Tuesday.
I think so. Let's pick it up. Let's pick it up again next week. And this was a fantastic subject. You know, you coined this properly last Tuesday when you said America's on drugs. You know, and they really are. And I think that if we pick this back up again, I think it's worthy of a third segment. So, my friend, have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:08 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 93 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 104 on its way to 65. I like that. That's the best number I've seen here yet. But you know what? Waiting in the wings is my good friend John Matthews, so let's get him in here. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews. Hey, John, welcome aboard. Good to have you here. You and I was on your show last night, and boy, I had a good time on there. You know, it seems like the last few weeks that we've actually had a real good run going. We've had some really interesting conversations going. But today's news, I'm guessing that you've got a full wallet, a full pocket, a full file of lots of things that are on your mind.
Well, we talked a lot yesterday about this trade bill with Obama. That was kind of what I had on my mind this morning when I woke up until the Supreme Court once again legislated from the bench and started looking at what was going on with that. Spent most of today looking at the arguments for and against the ruling on Obamacare. Interesting that once again, the court is being put in a position where they're legislating because Congress has failed to do their job and define what it is that we're trying to pass in the first place. This is a very obvious demonstration or example of probably the biggest fallacy we have in Congress today is that they want laws and they want the government, but they don't even know how to write laws. It goes beyond needing to read the law or pass the law to find out what's in it. Whoever wrote this thing definitely didn't understand how to write.
Well, you know what? It's interesting you'd say that, John, because, I don't know about your impression. My impression is that we had a Congress full of attorneys, and you'd think the one thing they'd know how to do is write a law, but it sure hasn't turned out that way, has it?
Well, I think it was noteworthy that Scalia, when in his dissent, actually addressed the issue of how lawyers usually write. He went into great detail. He said, normally lawyers overstate stuff. And so what you have to do is you have to sort through it and figure out what they really meant. And he said, but in this, the lawyers understated things. And when you tie that in with what John Gruber once said about the fact that they wrote the law ambiguously to begin with, that was a whole intent, that was how they were going to get it passed. They were going to make it so ambiguous and so generalized that you really weren't going to be able to debate it anyway. That kind of thing. So this is Scalia. I was reading his dissent. I think this is one. Somebody else pointed out to me. This is the first time they've ever heard Scalia actually read his dissent. He was so ticked off about what took place today, and it is a scathing rebuke of the Supreme Court. He holds back on nothing. He makes a thing that this should be called not Obamacare, but it should be called SCOTUS care. Yeah. Basically, the Supreme Court has taken on 3 separate instances to reinterpret out of context what they believe the legislator was trying to do, or what the Congress was trying to achieve, rather than throwing it back to Congress and say, hey, if you can't write a law right, don't write it at all, or fix it. So they've taken it upon themselves to redefine and basically fix the language, reinterpret the language, so that so it doesn't have to go back to Congress. What they're saying is, we're going to take and try to interpret what the intent of the bill was to begin with, and we'll just interpret the language as it's written to mean what we think they really meant.
Well, I hate to interrupt you, but isn't it the job of Congress to tell us what the intent is?
I'm sorry?
Isn't it the job of Congress and not the Supreme Court to tell us what their intent was?
That was something that Scalia addressed throughout his dissent. He said this whole thing was passed outside of normal protocol. He said a lot of it was done behind closed doors. The debate process was missing and lacking. There was nothing that was put out on the floor for a lot of the content of the bill. He said 900 pages long. A lot of it wasn't even ever debated, and he points out that these things are what led to the problem, that nobody put anything out on the floor to debate. And so, therefore, whatever was put into text, and I guess Congress is like the rest of us, we got to pass it to find out what's in it. And John Conyers, who was out there telling us it's too complicated to read. We just passed it's too complicated to read. That kind of stuff. And he addressed everybody down in this set. He starts with the court, and he goes to the Congress. Then he takes on the Secretary of Health and Services, and he says basically in there, he says, well, you know what? You were capable of defining what a federal exchange was and a state exchange was when you wanted to, but now you want us just to reinterpret this whole thing to include you. And he gives some very examples. I think the one that stuck out to me the most was the analogy that he laid out. It was very similar to the one Kagan laid out when they were during the hearings. I don't know if you remember what that was about, but she basically says, if I have Frederick, and Frederick tells one of his clerks to write a text, and then tells Amanda to edit that text. Well, if the first person, I think her name was Elizabeth in the analogy, if Elizabeth does not write the text, does that mean that it's now Amanda's job to write the text? That was the analogy she was using to say that if the state didn't set up the exchange, then the federal government should take it, because it was the federal government's job to check the state's, process and everything. And so they say, well, if the state didn't do anything, then it becomes the spell checker's job then to establish the text itself.
Well, John, let's take a little bit of a breather, and we'll come back and discuss this more. I want you to think in terms of the Supreme Court vote was actually 6-3 with Roberts going back to the left, and I think he did that because of what he did the last time. But we'll come back and talk some more about this after these brief messages. Don't go away. We'll be right back with John Matthews and the Conservative Syndicate. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to my good friend John Matthews with the Conservative Syndicate Corner. John, before we get started, let's talk a little bit about your show. You know, John's got a show that's Monday through Wednesday. Actually, it's more than that. He's on more time now than I can remember. But basically, his show broadcasts from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. And the easiest way to get him is to go to the conservativesyndicate.net. That's his website. And that'll put you live or on the archive shows that he's doing. And you know what? If you don't know what you think or don't know what you believe, this is a man you need to be listening to. Now, you may not always agree with him because he and I don't always agree with each other, but he'll always make you think, and he'll never, ever, ever chastise you for having an alternate opinion. He'll just try and tell you how he feels. John, isn't that about how it works?
Yeah, that's about it. I like to say I'm not really arguing with people. I'm just explaining why I'm right. And I do believe as an American, everybody else has the right to be wrong.
So what you're saying is you could say I was right, but then you'd be wrong, huh?
Well, I'm just saying that everybody has their opinion, and I'm sure everybody within their own mind thinks those opinions are right. You know, it's really some kind of, if you're not interpreting it right, I'm being self-deprecating here. It does, you know, the idea is to be able to express an opinion, and it doesn't necessarily mean that one person is smarter than the other one, although I would hold that I am, but that's just my own, you know, again, that's bias, and I'm sure everybody else feels the same way.
Well, don't you believe, John, don't you believe that for people to be able to have a cohesive conversation, one that has an intelligent dialogue back and forth, that it's important that they listen to a lot of different people and then make up their own mind and be firm in what they believe so that they can actually not argue but debate their own positions?
Well, I take everything within the context of being in a courtroom. You know, there's an issue here, and you present the evidence, and people that are able to reason make a determination one way or the other. We don't have a lot of that left in society today. At least a lot of it's not being displayed. It's not to say there aren't intelligent people out there, but a lot of people today that really have opinions and views and know how to articulate them have just chosen not to. For lack of, you know, because of all the division and all the incivility that goes on today, and people just say, I'm not really interested, and that's really probably has contributed more to the divide that we have in the country right now. That people are just basically I call it the sin of omission. You're not doing anything, you're not saying anything, and therefore you're basically collaborating with those who will say something, and unfortunately, the people that have the wrong side of the argument are the ones winning it. They control the narrative because they're talking and nobody else is. So
yeah.
It's the nature of the beast right now. So, you know, it is what it is. We're just trying to do our part to get everything back where Americans understand their responsibility and what a privilege it is to be a citizen of this republic.
Well, you can say that again. And, you know, one of the things you said on your show last night, and it's absolutely valid and true, is that we poor citizens out here, and I'm not meaning financially poor, although that is the case in many cases, but we citizens out here are not even being given the courtesy of being respected. We're not being told anything. And I'm not necessarily saying we're not being told what we need, what we shouldn't know, because there's some classified things that I'm sure that we should not know. It could hurt the country if it got out. But I think that, you know, when you and I were talking about the Pacific Trade Agreement yesterday, and I just cannot fathom in my mind any reason whatsoever why we couldn't know what was on the table at the beginning that we were trying to accomplish.
Well, I think I think it's because the real objectives behind something like the trade Trans-Pacific Partnership, it's not really about trade. The signs are out there. When legislators talk about legislation, but they don't really want you to know what it is, or they don't really want you to know the details, or they want to minimize the amount of information you get, it's because there's a different purpose for that legislation other than what they're telling you. The Obamacare thing is a perfect example, just real brief, a real perfect example. Everybody thinks it's about health care. It's not about health care. It was negotiated behind closed doors because it was a product of redistribution. And they didn't want people to know that. So it's like, what did they sell? Oh, we have so many uninsured Americans, and we need to make sure everybody has access to health care. That's the pitch. That's the sales pitch. That's not the objective. The objective is to interject government more into our lives and make us more dependent on government. That's the objective. The trade bill is the same thing. The trade bill is not really about trade. It's about controlling money. It's about controlling capital. It's about controlling the gears and determining who gets what. As I said yesterday in the show, the Republicans are under the assumption that they're going to win the White House in 2016, and they're going to maintain the control and the majority in Congress. So the idea is, let's make it look like we're legislating. Let's make it look like we're compromising. Let's make it look like we're doing something, because that's what everybody says we don't do. So let's make it look that way. But on the other hand, what it does is it's importing cheap labor. That's one of the aspects of it. It's gonna help the immigration amnesty thing. These are things that are in the process already, in the parts of the bill that have been written already. But those aren't the things that are publicized. It's all about helping the middle class. That's the sales pitch. It's going to create jobs for the middle class. It doesn't talk about the workings of it, which is political. The political thing is you have Republicans and Democrats vying for control of a demographic. And if they can't control the demographic, let's create a demographic. Let's create a demographic that's dependent on government subsidies and government funding and government paychecks. And that way we control the power. We keep our majorities, that kind of thing. Obama wants to create new Democrats. It's very obvious when you read the context of some of this stuff. That is the intent, but that's not what.
Well, I'm not really sure that's the case, and we've got to go for another commercial break. But before we do, I'm going to lay this question out for you, because you had said Obama was trying to create more Democrats, and you know what? Under normal circumstances, I would agree with you 100%. But I'm having a problem here because the Democrats are not supporting Obama lately. It's been the Republicans. So let's talk about that when we come back from this commercial break, John. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to my good friend John Matthews of the Conservative Syndicate. And John, when he left, I was asking you, and I was actually being a little sarcastic about it because I actually believe the same way you do. But I am so confused with what's going on in Congress today and the relationship. You know, the Republicans have been labeled obstructionists for the last 6 years, and now all of a sudden we're giving Obama, I shouldn't say it that way, they're giving Obama the fast track authority. They're giving Obama now the Pacific Rim, well, that is the fast track authority, the Pacific Rim thing. And what on earth is going on here where the Republicans are actually giving Obama what he wants? It's almost like, has he changed flags?
No. Again, the strategy is to make it appear that you're able to govern. I spent yesterday a lot of time yesterday on looking at the trade agreement. One of the things I ran across was Mitch McConnell's press conference back in 2014, right after the Republicans took control of the Senate. And believe it or not, he spent the vast majority of that press conference talking about the fact, 2 things he kept covering almost all through the whole entire press conference. One, the American public is tired of a Congress that doesn't do anything. So he's saying, so we're going to show that we can do something. Now, he goes from there straight into a big dialogue about the idea of working with Obama. And the first subject he brings up is the trade agreement. You know, we think this trade agreement is great. We know that the Democrats don't like it. Well, the Democrats don't like it because it's going to cut into unions. The union labor is going to suffer because of that, because how are you going to negotiate for wage increases if the company you've got a union in can import labor? This is something people are just denying. That's just saying that's not true. But Obama has expounded and already started using it in some other aspects of the workers permit, working visas. They're importing a lot of people from Korea right now using working visas. And so this is a template for what he wants to do with the trade agreement. So the idea the unions are upset, and therefore the unions are upset, therefore the Democrats are upset, because where do their contributions come from? They come from the unions. So that's all just to protect their job. It's not about trade. It's about protecting power. It's about protecting their campaign donors. It's about everything but trade. Trade is just a method. It's just a methodology. The Republicans want to portray themselves as being able to rule, being able to govern. If it means selling out right now to get that, well, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to make it look like, yeah, we can actually get along. The problem, McConnell was pointing out, the Senate didn't pass anything when Harry Reid was in power. I'm going to pass things. I'm going to show the people that we can govern. Well, is it going to send us down the toilet? That's not the point. The point is I'm going to show that we can come to an agreement on something. But they have their own motives. It brings in cheap labor. And the Democrats want those cheap laborers to vote Democrat. The Republicans just want to make money off of them. So they both have an agenda behind doing this. But the Republicans' main agenda is, let's look like we can actually govern. We can bring things to the floor. We can vote on them. We can get things passed. If it's detrimental to the country, that's second place right now. We just have to show that we can do something. There's your agenda. There's a reason why they're just giving Obama everything they want. They think everything is going to implode somewhere on the Democrats, and it's not. The Democrats control the narrative. They can paint anything. The thing in Charleston shows they can paint anything to make anything look like anything they wanted. We're talking about a town that just suffered 9 murders in a church. The people are getting together. They're praying together. They're reconciling. They're healing. They're loving each other. And what it becomes a talk about a freaking Confederate flag. And so now we're back to, okay, the only people that fly Confederate flags are white people. Therefore, all white people are racist. We're right back to the same argument. They control the narrative because the Republicans don't want to.
John, have you ever heard the term, give them an inch and they'll take a mile? And I'm not pro Confederate flag, but the thing is that first there was just one Confederate flag in South Carolina that they wanted to do something with, and now all of a sudden the governor of I think it was Tennessee took his down, and there's a number of flags that have movements to take them down, and that's their issue. But now I'm hearing things about, well, we need to change the name on this school and the name on that school. The truth is, where is this going to stop? And historically, do we really want to not know that what our history is?
Well, it doesn't. But it's not that they don't want you to know what history is. It's that they want you to know their version of it. You know the old saying, history is written by the victor.
Yeah.
And so what they're basically saying is we want to become recognized as the victor. We've won. We're going to win this victory for equal rights. Completely disregarding that the Civil Rights Act of '64 gave them all that. I mean, it's not like this is rocket science. We talk, the Confederate flag is just a distraction to get the conversation. I make this is equivalent to George Stephanopoulos asking Mitt Romney back in 2012 whether states should ban birth control. Nobody was talking about that, and what it did is shifted the whole conversation and dialogue off of abortion, and it allowed the left to control the narrative that the Republicans have a war on women. That's exactly what this flag is about, and this is what it's all about. None of these things are about governing. They're not about taking care of the people. It's about protecting their majorities and their campaign contributions. That's what it's all about. It's simple. It's not. It's difficult because they muddle it so much. You say, "Oh, what in the hell is going on here?" This is what's going on. It's simply a struggle for power by people who are all incompetent and inept, trying to protect their jobs because they know that they're incompetent and inept.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Hey, John, we've got about 30 seconds left. Talk about your show, will you?
Just you go to my website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You can pick us up there. You can pick up on the links there. We're on iTunes now. You can click right from my website and go to iTunes if you want to download us there. You want to listen to us on our site. You want to listen to us on the 7 affiliates that we're on out there. Anything you want is right there. Just go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, and it's all there for you.
John, fantastic segment. It always is. I love the way your mind works, and looking forward to talking to you on your show this coming Wednesday, and then having you back in the following day on Thursday to kind of carry things forward. So have yourself a wonderful weekend, John, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Take care, my friend.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:40 p.m. Pacific time. Wow, it's starting to come down. 93 degrees, down from 104 degrees today at the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. You know what? You know what today is? Yeah, it's somebody's birthday. And you know what? This person was born in 1945. Singer, songwriter, musician, and children's author. Happy birthday to Carly Simon. And here's one for you. You all know him. Born in 1956. Chef, author, and the host of Travel Channel's culinary and cultural adventure program, No Reservations. Happy birthday, Anthony Bourdain. And here's a guy that, an artist he was, born in 1963, two-time Grammy Award winning singer, songwriter, who has had a career as frontman of the duo Wham! Happy birthday to George Michaels. And you know what? What happened today in history? Well, in 1913, American Civil War veterans begin arriving at the Great Reunion of 1913. And you know what happened in 1981? Well, Microsoft is restructured to become an incorporated business in its home state of Washington. That was 1981, not that long ago when you think about it. How about in 1997? Sutir Hills, Montserrat volcanic eruption resulting in the deaths of 19 people. Well, you know what? The quote for today comes from Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde says, "What is a cynic? A man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing." Now, there's a quote worth remembering, right? I think it is. How about, let's get to it, our secret daily teaching for your life. It's a short one today, but you know, I tell you every day, this is all about a positive mental attitude. The secret teaching for your life today is giving thanks for what you want in advance turbocharges your desires and sends a more powerful signal out into the universe. Remember, a positive mental attitude. not only affects your life in a positive way, but the lives of all the people around you that you touch. Let's talk about the Harvard Business Tip of the day. And the management tip today is leaders win trust not by hiding their doubts. Leaders have been trained to hide vulnerabilities, to minimize risk, and to be consistent, level-headed, and in complete control at all times. But it's impossible to trust someone who is always rational, serious, and in control. If you want to win trust from your employees, colleagues, and bosses, you need to have the courage to present yourself as a more complex being. This means becoming comfortable with expressing doubt. Smart leaders know there is more than one right answer, and so even after they commit to a decision, they're not afraid to revisit and change course if necessary. You should adopt the strong opinions, weakly held mantra, especially when trying to navigate complex and uncertain situations. Don't focus on so much on always being the visionary. Instead, try to be more human. Express doubt. Ask the contrarian options, and be willing to change your mind several times if necessary. Yeah, you heard me right, and that's the secret to real success. Well, let's talk about the interesting but useless facts that we've got prepared for you. This is getting to be a more and more popular segment of our show, and I got to tell you, it's just thrilling to do this, because some of the things that these guys come up with, it's just, I guess you just got to say it's unbelievable, right? Well, the first fact is, did you know that there are 1 million ants for every person in the world? Well, if there are 7 billion people in the world, wow. You can't even count that high, can you? I can't. How about this? The parents of Albert Einstein were worried that he was mentally slow because it took him a long time to learn how to speak. You know, the secret of Albert Einstein, they say he only used about 12% of his brain. We use much less than that, is that he couldn't do the simplest mathematics. We had to get almost near geniuses to get mathematics to a point where Albert Einstein could take over. I find that just as interesting. You know what? How about this? 2 in every 3 car buyers pays sticker price without arguing. And we were talking about IQs, right? Okay. Did you know that linen is actually stronger than when wet? Not sure I know why, but it must be a fact. I couldn't tell you if it wasn't. Did you know that the 7th most common word used on the internet is HTML? More people have phobia of frogs than they do of rats. I don't like either one of them. Although, on the other hand, in restaurants, it's seldom that you see it, but if they have frog legs, I'll order them. They really are good. They do taste similar to chicken, but they are really good. Did you know that a car traveling 100 miles an hour would take more than 29 million years to reach the nearest star? Keep in mind that we have one star in our solar system, and there are many solar systems in our galaxy. And the nearest star, 100 miles an hour, take you 29 million years. Think about it. American and Russian space flights have always included chocolate. I've heard that chocolate's an aphrodisiac, but I also heard that it relaxes you. It keeps you calm. That's a good thing, right? Besides which, it tastes good. Now, talking about chocolate, chocolate melts in your mouth because cocoa butter has a melting point of just below 35 degrees centigrade, a little under your body temperature. So that's why it does. How about this? Did you know that the WD in WD-40 stands for water displacer? Yeah, well, you can't mix oil and water, right? At least that's what they say. Without a surfactant, you can't. Did you know that in ancient Egypt, priests plucked every hair from their bodies, including their eyebrows and eyelashes? That's going too far. Let's get a little more foul here. Ducks. Do you know ducks will only lay eggs early in the morning? They don't want to exert themselves in the afternoon. They want to relax, right? Lay out there and sunbathe. How about this? Did you know that wearing headphones, which is what I'm doing right now, for just an hour will increase the bacteria in your ear by 700 times? And I'm wearing these things for over 2 hours. Holy cow. There's a scary thought for you. And finally, the first building with an elevator was the 6-story, 130-foot Equitable Life building in New York. It was built in 1870. Now, having said that, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be answering your emails. My first email comes from Samantha McKay from Atlanta, Georgia, asking about worthless securities. Don't go away. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? It's time for our emails. I want to remind everybody that this is an entertainment section of the show. And basically, I try to answer your emails as thoroughly as I can, but, they're a little sketchy sometimes. And so I can only answer them based on the information that you provided me. So we always caution you to always use a licensed professional. They're going to save you more money than they cost you. They're going to give you peace of mind, let you sleep at night. and they carry errors and omissions insurance, which means that if they make a mistake by what they tell you, they get to pay for the mistake, not you. They'll just call you in and they'll gather all the necessary information to give you a good qualified answer. Just think about it. You're always, always, always better off. Well, my first email comes from Samantha McKay from Atlanta, Georgia. She's asking about worthless securities. And she says, I was tricked into buying $10,000 of stock in a company that proved to be a scam. Can I take this as a worthless securities capital loss that I can deduct against capital gains? Well, Samantha, you can, but you may have a better a way of taking a theft loss deduction here if this is considered a theft under your state law. Now, a theft deduction is allowed to the extent that your loss exceeds $100 and to the extent that this excess, when combined with all other theft and casualty losses, exceeds 10% of your adjusted gross income. Let me give you an example of this. Let's just say the theft is your only loss and your AGI is $40,000. Your deduction is $5,900. That's the $10,000 minus the $100 minus the $4,000, and that's where we get that $5,900 from. In contrast, a capital loss offsets capital gains with no more than a $3,000 net loss deductible against ordinary income, and any excess carried forward to future years. Could take a while to get this done. Next email comes from Luis Rios from Colton, Ohio. He's asking about a solo 401k plan and an LLC, and he says, would the solo 401k retirement plan apply for a one-person liability or a limited liability company, an LLC? Well, Luis, the solo 401k is simply a 401k plan with only one participant. Fairly recent tax law changes made it available as a new option to business proprietors who previously had to use KEO plans or other retirement savings vehicles. If a business that has a solo 401k plan hires additional employees, they must be covered by the plan in accordance with the 401k non-discrimination rules. Now, a one-person LLC typically is taxed by the IRS as a proprietorship, making it able to use that solo 401k like any other proprietorship. But 401k rules are complex, and LLC rules vary by state. So check with a local expert, just like we were telling you at the beginning of the show. You'll be glad that you did that. My next email comes from Emily Roldan from Erling, Iowa, and is asking about savings bond interest and writes, I know I can report interest earned on Series EE and Series I savings bonds annually instead of all at once when I redeem the bonds. How do I find out how much interest a savings bond earns each year? And how do I avoid being double taxed when I redeem the bonds since I get a 1099 showing all the interest paid on them? Well, that's a great question, Emily. And to learn how much interest a bond pays annually, go to the Treasury Direct website at www.treasurydirect.gov and use either the Savings Bond Calculator or the Savings Bond Wizard, or download Form 3501. That's comparison of year-end Series I, EE, and E savings bonds redemption values. To avoid double taxation when you redeem a bond, simply report the year's interest on it under the annual method and add a note to your return explaining the difference between that and the 1099 amount. Now, for more details, go to IRS Publication 550. That's Investment Income and Expenses. You'll be glad you did. It's a good deal. Now, my last email comes from Giovanni Russo from Houston, Texas. He's asking about cash rewards, and he says, are cash rewards that I get from my credit card taxable to me? My credit card company gives me a percentage of my total charges each month in the form of a check. Well, here's the good news, Giovanni. The answer to your questions? No, it's not taxable to you. Cash rewards received for using a credit card are tax-free to the card owner who receives them. The IRS considers such cash rewards to be a price discount, and a promotional or volume discount off the price of a product or service is always going to be tax-free. And the nice part about it is even though they give you that check, they don't get the deducted. It just lowers their revenue or their income that's coming in. That's actually the way that works, and it works to your benefit. So you don't want to let it go in any other way. Now, I want to thank you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. Robert Cardoza Live broadcasts on Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. I also broadcast on Roar 1776 Radio and on Live 365 Radio every Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com and email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. It's where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. On my next show, my expert contributor is going to be David Garrett on the law, and my special guest is Dr. Stephen Tidwell with his series, Tomorrow's Dentistry Today. I encourage you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza. Okay, everybody, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I enjoyed producing it for you. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another installment of Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. You know, we enjoy providing this show for you, and we hope that you enjoy it too. Let us know if you want to have something special covered. We'll be happy to do that. In the meantime, I want you to stay safe. I want you to be happy. I want you to enjoy yourselves. And in the meantime, all I can say to you is, good night, everybody.